participants whose number is growing more and more, and we are very happy about that. We have arrived today at the 5th appointment in this cycle of video international conferences on the Zoom platform dedicated to tramways and other means of transport. Tonight's conference comes from Argentina and will be conducted by Ernesto Falzone, a very active member of the Asociacion Amigos del Tranvìa in Buenos Aires. Presentation will be in English. Thanks for that, Ernesto. As usual, at the end, there will be a space for any questions in English or in Italian, and you can also use the chat in every moment during the presentation. So I think now we are ready to go. I just let me introduce the evening in Italian, and then we'll start. Buonasera a tutti e benvenuti al quinto appuntamento dei nostri martedì tranviari dedicati ai mezzi di trasporto, soprattutto ai tram in tutto il mondo. Questa sera ci sarà la presentazione fatta da Ernesto Falzone, noto rappresentante dell'Asociacion Amigos del Tranvìa di Buenos Aires, che ci farà la storia del tram a Buenos Aires e anche dell'attività dell'associazione. La presentazione sarà in inglese. Come al solito alla fine ci sarà uno spazio per domande in inglese o in italiano, ma potete anche usare la chat in ogni momento durante la presentazione. Vi ricordo per favore di quelli che ancora non si sono rinominati di scrivere nome e cognome, perché non accettiamo nicknames o nomi incompleti, quindi per favore nome e cognome. Potete usare la funzione rename che c'è nei comandi di Zoom. Bene, adesso direi che ci siamo tutti e posso dare la parola ad Ernesto. Ernesto, ci sei?
Estoy aquí.
Allora vai. Please go ahead.
Okay. It's a very pleasure for me to make this presentation for everybody, and I think that you speak so good for me, because you speak that I will speak in English, but it's not English. It's some it's Spanglish and Italian and a mixture. But I think I try to explain in the best way from my poor English. And well, cominciamo. Some acknowledgement in special for ATTS for this opportunity to share with all of you this presentation. In fact, if any of you need the presentation, the PowerPoint file is available for everyone with all the pictures. Okay. My thanks to AT Association and the Federico Lacrosse Library, and special to Aquilino González Podestá. It was our founder in 1976. He has 86 years old, and he continued driving trams and provide a lot of information that you can see in this presentation. Many pictures are from our National General Archives. Some pictures about another streetcar and railroad fund Charlie Perez Arnaud, and Franklin Romero, the current president of the Asociacion Amigos del Tranvìa. And thank you to all of you to participate in this presentation. Well, this rear draw is the first city of Buenos Aires in 1536, when the Pedro de Mendoza Spanish conquistador, I don't know what is the word in English, founded the first city in the shore of Rio de la Plata in 1536. This city only resisted 2 years because the local people destroyed everybody and ate him. Eat everybody. But in 1980, excuse me, in 1580, Buenos Aires was refunded, and in a Spanish way, with parallels and across streets with a quadriculate perfect in this Spanish scheme. This is a plan of Buenos Aires in 1782, almost 200 years after the definitive foundation. The city was growth, and in 1850, that was the surface occupied in the pampas. Okay, and in 1857 was installed this is a birth view at this moment, but in 1857 was the first railroad company. You can see the pointer over the presentation. Yes, this was the first railway station to the west. In this map, to the west is up, and the first concessions for the companies take a circle from the center of the city to locate the terminals. In 1857 was necessary to install horse omnibus system to lift the passengers of train from the first station to the city center. But when the second company of railroad was installed with the terminus in the Retiro area, in this part of the city, in order to connect passengers from the railway terminal to the center, was installed the first tram line in Buenos Aires. That is the Plaza de Mayo square in the center of Buenos Aires. This is the old fort, Spanish fort, in the front of the Rio de la Plata river here. And this building was the first station of trams in Buenos Aires to take trams from the center to the Retiro station to aboard the trains. And this is the in July 14th in 1863, the depart of the first trams to Buenos Aires. That is not public service in terms of urban service. Just was a service to train passengers to go from the city center to the station. Another picture in 1863 with that kind of trams with 2 horses and 2 cars, and a special part to put a baggage and some people over there, the cars, to go to the center, to the Retiro station. Look at the Rio de la Plata with the ships anchored in the deep of the river, and impossible to put near the pier because the depth of the Rio de la Plata is only 3 or 4 meters. Well, this is the first the station of the Northern Railway. The end of this first tram station to leave the passenger to take passenger from the train to the center. In 1867 was installed the Southern Railway of Buenos Aires, and the station was in the Constitution Square in this area, so far to the city center. And then that company also installed a tramway line from the station to the central area of the city. In all maps is possible to see that line from the station Constitution Market and Square, and the tramway line departing from the old Constitution Station to go to the center by horse tram. This line also special or priority for passengers of trains. But in this case, people start to use to go in different points of the line. In next years, the Constitution Station was growth and reformed, but trams continue waiting for the train passengers in the same platform in the Constitution Station. In 1868 was dictate, I don't know what is, a new law to install urban tramways. And in February 27th, in 1870, was launched the first urban companies to bring urban transportation by horse tramways. It was in the first day was opening 2 lines of 2 different companies. This is a station of one of this, the tramway 11 de septiembre. In 2 years only, Buenos Aires covered of tramway lines. Many companies, look at here the list, almost 15 companies installed trams in Buenos Aires. You can see each street has his own tramway line across in this east, west, and north and south. You can see practically all the streets was receiving streetcar lines. Buenos Aires has a city with different weather, and it's so warm in summer, so cold in winter. No, we don't have any snow in winter, but the temperatures was around 5 degrees Celsius under 0. And then companies mainly has 2 types of cars in the fleet: open cars and closed cars. The name is and then some companies to also have last ride trams, because in these years Buenos Aires suffered several epidemic amarel fevers, yellow fevers, and the number of deaf people was very high. And all companies, especially the La Croce company, has that special funeral cars to left to cemetery everybody. The growth, the tramway network continue in growing. You can see here the government housing to Buenos Aires, the pink house, with horse tramways in the front. And not only has city lines, one of the most important companies from this moment was La Croce company, and founded the rural tramway. It was a project to have any lines to go to countryside, and one of the most famous of that was the Buenos Aires and Zárate line. Now is the Urquiza Railroad, but in that opportunity in 1888, it was a horse line with more than 50 miles. The trip, it was more than 50 hours, 5 hours on trams. And they have some night service with that special sleeping car. One of I think that I don't know another example of tramway sleeping car. If somebody of you know, let me know. In 1892 arrived the electricity to trams in Argentina, but not in Buenos Aires. It was in the capital of Buenos Aires province, named La Plata city. It was the first electric tram, but only for trial. Is not keep in the city. Only run for 2 or 3 months in demonstration. But the first tram, electric tram in Argentina, it was again in Buenos Aires in 1897. That is the picture of the opening to the trial line in Buenos Aires along the Las Heras Avenue. It was 2 cars only covering this 1 kilometer line of trial in Buenos Aires. But 11 months after that opening, it was the first line with revenue service in Buenos Aires, La Capitale company of trams with a very long line from the city of Buenos Aires to the suburb named Flores in the west of the city. It was a 10 kilometers long line, the first electric line, with La Capitale company acquired from Brill company, that model of car. Trying to achieve in the same car the need of to have a winter car in the low level and summer car in the upper level, with open and close in the same car. But the experience was not good, and when that company was sold to the Anglo-Argentine tramway company, Anglo demount the upper open car, and that kind of car become only the salon with one level. The interior of the lower level, it was in this picture, women only can ride in this level and not in the superior. Here is La Capitale tram again, run in the front of a pink house in front of the Plaza de Mayo square. La Capital acquired to Brill Company to one of that special palace tramway car to make some excursions and to make trips with authorities, and it was the interior of this car. Look, the luxury interior from this Brill car. And then La Capital company established a service to move not only passengers, just is the station to transport from the meat factory, from the mataderos. How is in Italian, Roberto? Your
Mattatoio.
phone. Matatorio. Yes. And then in 1899, La Capital company made that movement of load of meat in a special containers. There is a platform with Tram platform, and put with that bridge container of meat without frigorific machine, no, not only with some fresh air, but and ice, but the transportation by containers of meat from the meat factory to the city. The second company to convert the traction was named Buenos Aires y Belgrano Company. This picture in Plaza de Mayo too showed the mix between electric and horse car at the time of conversion of the traction system. Buenos Aires y Belgrano also adopt imperial cars with second floor with open, but with bigger cars than La Capital company, and came from the States, from Jackson and Sharp company. But the Buenos Aires y Belgrano company acquired cars from Brill company. The cars was shipped, demounted, and then was assembled in the company shops in Buenos Aires. In 1902, a company, I don't know what is that. I have I don't know what is that. You can see a line here, but it's not in my presentation.
You have to, okay, you have canceled now.
Ah, okay. Okay. In the 1902, the big horse car company, a big horse tram company of Buenos Aires, the Anglo-Argentine Tramway Company, start to electrify their lines. This picture is the opening of the first electric line from the Anglo-Argentine company from the city center to the western suburb of Flores. The cars, it was St. Louis cars also from the States, but with AEG German electrical components. Another company, very important in Buenos Aires, was the Cervecería Quilmes company. Cervecería Quilmes is our main brand of beer in Buenos Aires. And Quilmes is a southern suburb where the factory of Quilmes Beer Company was located. It's only 20 kilometers from Buenos Aires. And the company installed a tramway line, not only for passengers, also Quilmes company transport the beer in bottles and barrels from the factory in Quilmes city to Buenos Aires in that kind of cars produced by Falkenried company from the Germany. Then in 1907, the old La Crosse company decided to change the traction system and adopt electricity, buying 300 of cars from Brill company of that semi-convertible model from Brill company with 32 places. That was the interior, excuse me, Alamy company. From the original interior of Brill cars from the La Crosse tramways. And you can see in 1907 the profile and the form of La Crosse cars with closed platforms, not only with the front, they have also doors to close in winter the entrance to the platform. And in the same time, the other companies still with open cars in the front in a city with several problems of rainy days and cold days and other weather problems. But the company La Crosse company put that kind of innovation in the front, and all the other companies has to change and close the front of cars to personal protection. La Crosse tramways to electrify the rural tramway with that kind of large trams with 44 seats and double trolley pull to go from the city to the portion of the line to Zárate. Only a section to Campo de Mayo station. It was that model of semi-convertible for the suburban line of suburban lines of La Croce Company. In 1911, exactly in September 15th, was launched the construction of the first subway line of Buenos Aires. It was a project to the Anglo-Argentine company to incorporate a system to underground system, excuse me, and they not call metro system. They call underground tram system, because it first line, it was a system combined between underground and surface. This picture is in the opening of the first line projected by the Anglo-Argentine company from Plaza de Mayo to the west, to the Caballito neighborhood. In this section, that cars went in the underground system, but after Caballito area, the first and the second car of the trains was separate and go up by the ramp and then continue by the street to the far area called Floresta in the city of Buenos Aires, but 10 or 11 kilometers from the center. Well, after World War I, Tram companies suffered a lack of cars and spare parts in the World War I period, and the Anglo-Argentine company, the most important company with 75 kilometers of line in the city, decided to put its own tram factory. And that model of cars was the first car produced in Buenos Aires to the Anglo-Argentine company. Probably more than 300 cars was manufactured in the caseros shops in the company from the Anglo-Argentine company. It was a very simple car with Spartan lines, with very simple, with a floor in the same level in platforms and in the salon, with Birney trucks imported from the States. But after that series of trams, well, at this moment, 1924, the trams network in Buenos Aires achieved 900 kilometers, more than 4,000 cars in motion. more than 20,000 people working at Trams, more than 100 lines in operation, and serving suburbs like Quilmes, where is the beer factory, temporarily in the southwest. The meat factory that I spoke before, and Campo de Mayo with the suburban trams of La Croce Company, and in the north to the Olivos suburb. It was a very high, very great tram network. And the Anglo-Argentine company funded a new tram factory named Catita. Catita is the initials of company of to manufacturing trams and transportation vehicles. The new factory started in 1928 with this model of car, more simple than the Caseros model, with 36 and 40 seats capacity in 2 versions, with all with the simple 21E model of trucks provided by Brill. But the evolution of model continue, and in 1938, the Catita factory launched 2 prototype cars named Argentine PCC, with pedal controls, but not with bogies, only with a 2-axle truck. But the project of Anglo-Argentine company was to produce a lot of this new model. But in 1939, different policies and question, especially with British companies, and the economic result of the Trams operation, and the competence with automobile and bus companies, make a new organization of trams and transportation system, and a special law named Coordination of Transport Systems in Buenos Aires, conform a new company with a capital mixed between the government and the company and the trams companies, and that new company called Corporación de Transportes de la Ciudad de Buenos Aires. And all the companies should to integrate that mega company. And then the subway, and then the buses, and then the little omnibus called colectivos in Buenos Aires. And in 1939, the Second World War start, and trams don't have any problem because the tram industry in Buenos Aires was solid, but the automobile and bus companies suffered the lack of spare parts, and especially of tires. And we can say that the only transportation in the war times in Buenos Aires that ran almost without problem was the trams. And then the Corporación de Transportes start to study the possibility or increase the capacity of trams and make that prototype of double-decker trams using Bill bogies 71E, but only make 3 units and only kept in a prototype project. It's not a massive production. You know, the problem in the middle of the war period with the tires in Buenos Aires, that many micro buses was equipped with steel wheels to run over the trams tracks. It was a disaster because the suspension is not prepared to run over tracks, but was desperate trial to get somebody can ride in the city with buses. The problem in the war time was so high that the company Corporación de Transportes think to launch in the rush hour special trams with not seats, only with stand people like cattle to maximum capacity to can transport the people because of the lack of spare part. Stop the buses company, and only it was possible to move the population by trams. Well, the World War II was finished, and all was in the normality, and Corporación de Transportes incorporate new buses to complement the suffered and the tired trams after the World War II period. GM buses and Mack buses incorporated in the daily traffic, and a new integrant of Buenos Aires transportation appeared in 1948 to complement the old trams. It was the trolley bus. Our first trolley bus line with American cars provided by a Western company, with wine body manufactured. And then in the period of from 1948 to 1952, more than 20 trolleybuses lines was included, especially in the second part of the trolleybus development network. It was with German trolleybuses from the Mercedes-Benz, from the MAN company and Henschel. It was the opening of 306 line of trolleybuses in the city. In parallel, the old trams start to make with renovate style, with a new steel and wood body, but using the old mechanical and electrical parts. It was a new body and old traction system. This was the first model named Tassara in honor to the creator, to the designer from the Corporación de Transportes. And this company, Corporación de Transportes, was became to the Argentina government company. It was a public company, totally nationalized. The new Buenos Aires Transportation public company developed a new prototype of car below license of PCC company, PCC company from the States or commit from the States. I don't know at that time what company had the license to produce the PCC model in the States. I think that Brill and St. Louis Car and other companies can use the PCC technology, but the Argentine Buenos Aires Transportation Company use a technology from PCC to announce the new trams that we will have in Buenos Aires. But only was this one, only the prototype, and the project keep in that only car, because cars was not satisfactory ¿cómo es? Desempeño es it was not a very well output, because the old network of trams of Buenos Aires has a very short, very little radius of curves, and this car with bogies was not used in all the lines. And then company continue with the conversion to the old wooden cars to the this kind of war tank. How's my friend Roberto name of this kind of car, the tanque de guerra, ¿cómo es? El
Carro armato.
Carro armato di guerra.
Tank.
This can make by the military factories of Buenos Aires with more than 350 cars with a new body, but always conserved the system of the old cars from the beginning of the century. Brill trucks and controls the AEG, and no more, not with any improvement, not air brakes, not lights, not. It was very simple, very basic kind of car. No? Then in 1961, excuse me, the government decided to retire all trams from Buenos Aires and replaced with omnibus, mainly from Mercedes-Benz bus, and Leyland cars and other sources to replace more than 1,300 tram cars that was scrapped, and any of them was survived to future generations. Only little celebration in December 27 make a goodbye celebration to the trams and put to run only one day in the Belgrano neighborhood. That car, it was one of the first cars of Buenos Aires horse tram network from 100 from 11 no not this no excuse me from 1870 year. That car survived and is in the collection of our institution, Asociacion Amigos del Tranvìa. We are in the restoration process because it was destroyed, but we are make a patient restoration work to return to the life from this car. Our institution was founded 13 years after the suppression of trams in Buenos Aires. We have a project to install a museum line to make an homage to the trams in our city, but any of cars was survived. Not any cars was survived from the Buenos Aires fleet. We searched along all the world in order to get some car with a similar form or type of Buenos Aires car, and we could take contact with Porto company. And in 1980, we got our first car named 258 from the Oporto fleet. It was almost equal, almost identical that the old La Croce cars from Brill company. And then we could open in 1980 in November 15th, our historic and line with the volunteers operated all by our association with all the members, all volunteers in a free ride every weekend in Buenos Aires. The La Croce car, the former Oporto car, was our first car, but we could rebuild several cars. We received from donation cars from Belgium. We could acquire another Porto car, and we could create our own library. It became a public library in the Caballito neighborhood with a lot of information about history, economy, and technology of transportation. In 1987, after 7 years of promotion and conferences, the government looks with good eyes the idea to incorporate trams, modern trams in Buenos Aires. And the first new line was launched in the city, in the south area of the city. But it was another cut project because only was in operation that line. The original project to make more lines in all the city was cancelled, and only keep this pre-metro line. It's a 9 pre-metro because that line go to the last station of E lane of metro to the Lugano suburb. It's a extension of an underground company, but in surface with this kind of cars. But in Argentina, that is not only Buenos Aires, we have another important city, Mendoza. Mendoza in 2012 launched a very important tram line in the city center of the city, Mendoza. Mendoza is a capital of wine production in Argentina. The Malbec kind of wine is special from that city. And they import that cars from San Diego and make this service. Is a very important service of trams. I think that is more serious tram system in all the Argentina. Yeah. In this year, our institution will be 45 years old of very hard work from our people, our volunteers. And you can see in this picture part of our collection of cars. The La Croce cars, our first car. The other Porto car, another Porto car, we named the Anglo, from the Anglo-Argentine company. The car donated by Brussels from Belgium, our more important work of reconstruction. We rebuilt departing from a body, one of Fabricaciones Militares car, one carro armato. We can rebuild 2 old British cars from Preston UEC company, the first cars of A-line metro in Buenos Aires. And we continue with the restoration of 2 or 3 units more that we will give you the surprise when they cars will be launched. As a resume, we start with horse car in the 1870s. We pass to electric cars from the beginning of 20th century. The cars, the trams in Buenos Aires disappeared in 1963, but the Association of Tram Friends can restart with a museum line with all our fleet. And we continue working because to Buenos Aires get and consider the incorporation of modern trams. And we are working hard with conference, with projects, with public education in order to diffuse that the trams are a very important solution to improve our public transportation. And then all is made by volunteers, and all me and all my friends volunteers say thank you to all of you, and you will be very, very welcome to visit our trams in Buenos Aires after the pandemic in the world.